On News Hour tonight, heated debate as National Assembly extend capital budget implementation to end of 2025. SDP Chairman Gabam dismisses suspension. Misconduct claim says party is under attack. Plateau mob attack survivor recount ordeal as Governor Obasani confirms 22 arrests. On the foreign scene, Trump warns Israel not to attack Iran as fragile ceasefire holds. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. My name is Idris Daye Baturi. The Nigerian Senate has approved a further extension for the capital component of the 2024 national budget, moving the implementation deadline to December 31, 2025. The decision was made during Tuesday's plenary session following the presentation and rapid passage of the amendment bill to the Appropriation Act, which was read and passed through all three readings in one sitting. The report.
The debate was led by Chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation, Solomon Adiola, who justified the extension by emphasizing the need to complete ongoing projects under the 2024 budget and citing revenue constraints that have delayed capital project execution.
Projects which are yet to be funded and implemented, we find it very important to come before these ALO chambers that this budget be extended by further 6 months.
In line with the desire of the present government and in consonance with the renewed hope agenda to ensure that no project is abandoned in the course of implementation of the budget.
Some senators, including Abdullahi Yahya and Abdul Ningi, criticized the repeated extensions as indicative of weak execution capacity within ministries, departments, and agencies, urging the federal government to provide explanations and calling for a committee inquiry.
Right now, what is going on is that activities of the government are being stalled. Contractors who had even succeeded in completing their projects have not been paid. The system that they have adopted in getting payment done centrally from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation has woefully failed. I'm going to bring a motion sequel to the passage of the bill, which says the Committee on Appropriation and Finance should investigate the recurring dismal of non-implementation of the capital component and report back within 1 week.
Government has grounded, that's what it means. Contractors who have done their jobs, committed their resources, cannot be paid. The benefits of the budget that we all took time to work on and passed has not gotten to the people. And guess what? We are talking of the capital component. The recurrent component, which is for the bureaucrats, 100%. It has gotten to them 100%.
Mr. President, I think that we must take the bull by the horn on this issue of appropriation. And I think that unless we take it very seriously up with the Ministry of Finance, this Parliament will become an embarrassment into itself.
Deputy Senate President Barrow Jibrin, who presided over Tuesday's plenary, ruled in favor of the bill following the adoption of the Senate Committee on Supplies report.
Desire to make sure that we solve these problems. In any case, the Committee on Appropriations and Finance have the function already enshrined in our rules to do that. So what we are trying to do is to emphasize the need that they should do the needful and then report back to us.
This marks the second extension after the initial one was shifted from December 31st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, following a request from President Bola Tinubu. In a similar development, the Senate considered and passed the Nigeria Police Trust Fund Amendment Bill seeking to extend the duration of the trust fund from 6 to 12 years, with the aim of enhancing police training, equipment, and facilities. Without opposition, the bill was read for the second and third time following the required suspensions of Senate Rule 78, subsection 1.
To amend the Nigeria Police Trust Fund Act to increase the duration of the trust fund to, among other things, provide for continued training, provision of equipment and related facilities, as well as enhance the skills of personnel of the Nigeria Police.
Both bills now await occurrence by the House of Representatives before heading to the President for assent.
Now, it was a busy Tuesday for members of the House of Representatives as they legislated on several matters, from okaying an extension for the implementation of the capital component of the 2024 budget. The House also welcomed two defections to the ruling party and also summoned the Director General of the National Health Insurance Authority over challenges in healthcare delivery. The reports.
As part of Tuesday's plenary, the House passed for a second reading a bill seeking to extend the capital implementation of the 2024 Appropriation Act from June 30 to December 31, 2025. Speaker Abbas Tajuddin supported the motion but warned that the 2024 budget remains significantly underfunded. Lawmakers also explained that the bill seeks to extend the capital component of the 2024 budget and urged members to support the move.
I rise to move this morning that a bill for an act to amend the 2024 Appropriation Act to further extend the capital components of the Act from 30th June 2025 to 31st December 2025.
So I think without any going for debates, with your kind permission, we put the question again. Those in support of this bill go for second reading, say aye. Aye. Those against you say nay. There is it.
Also laid before the House was the 2025 budget report of the Nigerian Customs Service with a projected revenue target of 1.13 trillion naira. The breakdown includes 1.07 trillion naira from 4% FOB cost of service, 33 billion naira from import VAT, and 29 billion naira for ongoing capital projects, among others. In another development, President Tinubu has declined assent to the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Amendment Bill. The president, who cited conflicts with existing laws and federal policy, including agency funding mechanisms and public service regulations, urged the House to revisit key provisions.
Right to inform you of my decision to decline assent to the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Establishment Amendment Bill 2025. Notwithstanding the laudable objectives of the legislation, certain provisions contained therein go against the settled law and policies of the federal government of Nigeria.
In another major development, the National Health Insurance Authority is under the spotlight as the House summoned its Director General to answer questions over persistent challenges plaguing healthcare delivery. The motion, moved by Representative Billy Osawaru, cited inefficiencies affecting both public and private sector workers enrolled in the scheme.
The House is worried that despite efforts to increase coverage and improve the welfare through quality healthcare delivery, only about 5% of Nigerians are enrolled in the NHIS, and the said 5% are facing numerous challenges, such as poor quality services, limited access to medications, as beneficiaries complain about out-of-stock medications.
Tensions flared on the floor following the defection of two lawmakers to the ruling All Progressives Congress.
My decision is predicated on the failure of my former party to resolve its debilitating internal crisis that has unbearably lingered for too long and ridiculously robbed the party of its outward harmony, conviviality, and attraction.
Peter Akpanke of Cross River and Paul Namchi of Enugu State officially dumped the PDP and Labour Party respectively, sparking protests from the opposition.
I want to personally congratulate a professor that decided with all his research, decided to leave a party of ideology to a party that don't have ideology.
The other faction adds to many others who have left most of the PDP for the ruling party.
Now, the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Shehu Gabam, has dismissed claims that he was suspended alongside the party's national auditor and youth leader, describing the report as false and politically motivated. Speaking at the party's national secretariat in Abuja during a meeting of the National Working Committee on WC, Gabam alleged that certain party leaders are being used as pawns to destabilize the SDP, particularly as merger or alliance talks gather momentum. Shafiu Suleiman reports.
The embattled SDP chairman is pointing fingers squarely at the party's national secretary, accusing him of fabricating a petition to engineer unrest within the party. According to Gabam, the suspension narrative is part of a coordinated effort to sow division and halt the party's progress. Gabam went further to allege threats to his life, claiming there are plans to eliminate him.
There was an attempt to assassinate me in this office. People came to this office with guns. Twice. On the 29th of April, I moved into this office. I saw people with uniform with AK-47. And I called the relevant institution to ask him, have you deployed security to this office? He said no. I said, but I saw people with AK-47 in the office. I don't know what they are doing. He said he's not aware. And he acted quickly, rushed to this place, arrested them and disarmed them. On the 29th of April, again on the 11th of April, about 8 uniformed men came to this office with AK-47. It was very alarming. And I raised concern. And I called the relevant institutions at the same time. They told me they are not aware, that they did not send anybody. But the personnel that came here, I professionally, politely, politically engaged them. And I asked them, were you deployed to this office officially? They said no. Who sent you here? They mentioned some names.
Dismissing accusations of corruption, Gabam insisted that all party financial transactions are publicly available. He challenged anyone with credible evidence to approach the appropriate authorities for investigation. The crisis gained traction after a statement by the party's National Publicity Secretary Rufus Ayeniba announcing the purported suspension, which went viral across traditional and online media, causing unease among party supporters.
Let me say this. Our entire account transactions will be submitted where required by the investigating agencies. We are printing the entire account. We'll submit to them to investigate. Everyone that have gone through process that have been approved is legitimate. It wasn't illegal. And I should remind you that parties are not allowed to conduct business. We only generate revenue through sale of funds during elections, or membership cards, or donations, and so on and so forth. So our accounts are open and transparent. And we will make it public, because the auditor's accounts are in the public domain. We publish this. So there is nothing to hide. I'm not a transactional person. I've never transacted with anyone. I was trained to build institutions, not to mortgage institutions.
Heightened when security operatives had to disperse suspected thugs allegedly mobilized to disrupt activities at the SDP National Secretariat. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, has expressed concerns over the frequent changes in the name of the People's Democratic Party's PDP National Secretary, describing the situation as confusing and in need of clarification. Yakubu stated this during a closed-door meeting with the PDP's National Working Committee, NWC, and the party stakeholders in Abuja on Tuesday. The report.
According to the INEC chairman, the main opposition party had requested a meeting with the commission to address and resolve its ongoing leadership crisis. Yakubu pointed out that the letter was signed only by the party chairman, rather than both the chairman and secretary as required by INEC regulations and guidelines.
The acting national chairman has stated the purpose of the meeting to discuss the status of the party's national secretary, particularly regarding the letter we sent to the party on the request for us to monitor their 100th NEC meeting, which was only signed by the chairman and not the chairman and secretary as provided in our regulations and guidelines. I'm glad that that meeting was the 100th meeting of the NEC of the party, meaning that 99 times in the past, you fully complied by inviting us by means of a letter signed by chairman and secretary of the party.
Earlier in the meeting, the acting national chairman of People's Democratic Party, PDP, Umar Damagun, explained that the discussion focused on status of the party's national secretary, particularly in relation to a letter sent by INEC concerning the request for the commission to monitor the party's 100th National Executive Committee NEC meeting.
We are here today to discuss and interact with you sincerely because we had NEC and there was a decision of NEC which mandated me to sign a letter to avoid controversy. And I have received your reply on that letter, urging us to be guided by certain rules. So I think we are here to interact sincerely with you off camera so that it will guide us when we get back to have a position that will further, have.
The delegation led by acting national chairman Umar Damagu included governors Sheyi Makinde of Oyo, Caleb Mufwang of Plateau State, Dauda Lawal of Zamfara, and the chairman of the PTP Governors Forum and Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed. Also in attendance were former Senate President Bukola Saraki, former governors Ahmad Makarfi and Sirika Dixon, and former PDP National Secretary Ben Obi.
The right to form political parties is a cornerstone of Nigeria's democracy, but the process isn't always as straightforward as it seems. With over 100 applications for party registration still pending and none approved since 2018, questions are now being asked about INEC's neutrality and commitment to democratic inclusion. In this explainer, we break down the step-by-step legal process for registering a political party in Nigeria and examine why INEC's silence is beginning to raise red flags. Take a look.
In Nigeria, forming a political party is more than just an ambition. It is a right enshrined in the Constitution. But that right is not absolute. And as fresh concerns mount over INEC's prolonged silence on over 100 pending applications, it is time to unpack the law, the process, and the suspicions. First, let's start with some constitutional backing. Section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution gives every citizen the right to freely associate, including the right to form or join a political party. However, this right is not unlimited. The same provision makes it clear that the right is subject to INEC's powers to set rules for how a political party is formed and registered. And that's why the Commission came up with its guidelines and regulations. Now, the first step in registering a political party is submitting an application to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, this must be done using INEC's Form PA1, and not just one, but 50 copies of it. The application must clearly state the proposed party's name and be signed by the group's chairman and secretary with their full residential addresses. It must also be accompanied by evidence of payment of the sum of a non-refundable fee of 1 million naira. But that's not all. The aspiring party must also submit 50 copies of its draft constitution and manifesto. Only after fulfilling these requirements can the application be considered complete. INEC is required by the law to swing into action. The Commission has 30 working days to verify all claims and documentation submitted. During this period, it assesses the group's compliance with the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and its own internal guidelines. If INEC is satisfied that all the conditions have been met, it then must register the group as a political party within 30 working days. However, if the Commission finds any shortcomings, it may also notify the group in writing within 7 days, clearly stating the grounds for its decision. Importantly, the group is allowed to correct any errors or omissions within the 30-day period. No extra fee is required to do that. Applications can be thrown out by INEC completely if a group fails to submit all the required documents within the 30 working days after collecting from PA1, or if after submission, INEC concludes that the constitutional conditions have not been met. Still, the law allows such a group to reapply with corrections within the same 30-day window, again, without having to pay the 1 million naira fee all over again. This week, we're already in day 2 of ADA's application to INEC. That means the 30 working day countdown has already begun. By law, INEC must either register the ADA as a political party or terminate the application within this period. But here's the issue. Since 2018, INEC hasn't registered a single new political party in Nigeria. Not one. Instead, it has deregistered 72 other political parties. At the same time, it's been holding on to 104 applications submitted after the 2023 general elections, with no decision made on any of them. So now, 3 questions stand out. 1. If INEC hasn't approved any of those 100 pending applications, is there any reason to believe the ADA will be treated any differently? 2. If ADA gets registered ahead of others, what would justify the exception? And 3. If INEC bypasses 104 applications and approves ADA, wouldn't that suggest bias or worse, political favoritism? Well, the rules are clear. The laws are unambiguous. Now, the responsibility lies squarely on the shoulders of the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. This is not just about the ADA. It is about public trust, transparency, and democratic fairness. The countdown has already begun. And as we watch, one thing must remain clear. Democracy thrives on choices, and anything else or less is unacceptable.
Now, days after the tragic event that led to the killing of travelers from Kaduna in Mangu local government area of Plateau State last Saturday, Kaduna State Governor Obasani has revealed that 22 suspects have been arrested in connection with the murder of 12 indigents of the state in neighboring Plateau State. The governor said these are the 44 reference hospital Kaduna where the surviving victims are receiving treatment. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more.
These are the surviving victims of the Mangu travelers attack receiving medical attention at the Nigerian Army Reference Hospital, Kaduna.
Of course, these are people that were innocent. They were not going for anything other than attending a wedding ceremony of one of their family members who lived in Plateau State. And of course, they met their death, most of them. And like I said, this must stop. And I can assure you that it will never happen again, because I will try my best to ensure that justice is done. As of 2 days ago, 22 people were arrested. I've been in touch with the governor, I've been in touch with Mr. President and the National Security Advisor.
At the residence of Ngwang Nsoho in Kudan local government, family members are still devastated after the killing of their relatives. We told our youth to be calm, but we are still devastated. This act is against the teaching of Christianity that frowns against killing or maiming people. Happy that the governor has assured that justice will be done. Governor Ubasani cautioned other state governments to ensure the safety of Nigerians in their state.
To other states and other governments is for them to try as much as possible to keep their people peacefully, because the Constitution of Nigeria have given everyone freedom to move everywhere he wants to go without any hindrance.
The 12 individuals from Nzoho community in Kudal local government area of Kaduna State were killed in Mangu, Plateau State, while traveling to attend a relative's wedding. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives on Tuesday called on the Inspector General of the Police, Kayode Egbetekun, the Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, Adeola Oluwatoshin Ajayi, and the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, to immediately arrest and prosecute those responsible for the gruesome killing of 13 wedding guests in Plateau State. The victims, all from Kaduna State, were attacked and killed after they lost their way while traveling to attend a wedding ceremony in Mungu local government area of Plateau State. Moving a motion of urgent public importance at plenary on Tuesday, Sadiq Ango Abdullahi decried the failure of security agencies to curb such attacks despite previous resolutions of the National Assembly and repeated promises of action by the authorities. The lawmaker expressed concern that such unchecked attacks are becoming a dangerous trend, threatening not only the freedom of movement, but also the peace and unity of the country.
Concerned that this horrific act is part of an increasing trend of insecurity and interstate violence that threatens the freedom of movement, peace, and unity of Nigeria as a country. Worried that despite previous resolutions of this Honorable House and repeated assurances from security agencies, attacks of this nature continue unabated, raising serious questions about the adequacy of security architecture and protection of lives and properties in Nigeria.
Now, gunmen have reportedly killed a police inspector, Yakubu Dauda, and seized his rifle in the Chelwenyapurim community of Riom local government area of Plateau State. Confirming the incident to journalists in Riom during a visit by the fact-finding committee set up by Governor Khalif Muftuangov to investigate the causes of violence plaguing the state. The DPO of Riom local government area, SP David Sadu, said the incident occurred on Monday while officers were on an operation in the area. DPO Sadu narrated that the gunmen who arrived in large numbers ambushed the officers, resulting in the death of one officer during the operation. He explained that the gunmen terrorizing the area were well armed, adding that despite mobilizing their men after the attack, they were unable to overcome the gunmen's resistance because they were well armed. The chairman of the fact-finding committee, Major General Nicholas Rogers, while speaking on the committee's visit to the area, said they were at the local government to find out what resulted to the incessant killing and attacks in the area. Now, the Commander 6th Brigade of the Nigerian Army Sector 3 Operation Wild Stroke Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa has facilitated the signing of a peace pact between feuding tribes of Tiv and Fulani in Gasso local government area of Taraba State. The signing of the peace pact is part of ongoing efforts to foster peaceful coexistence among the diverse communities in the state and highlight the importance of non-kinetic measures in resolving conflicts and enhancing relations with the states. The meeting held at the 6th Brigade headquarters in Jalingo with traditional leaders, community elders, and other critical stakeholders was to deliberate on a sustainable path to peace following escalating tensions and unresolved communal dispute between Tiv and Fulani ethnic groups to avert renewed violence. During the meeting, the brigade commander condemned the cycle of violence and warned against taking the law into one's hands. He emphasized that no individual or group has the constitutional mandate to enforce justice outside the bounds of the law. A press statement issued by the Acting Assistant Director of 6th Brigade, Nigerian Army Public Relations, Captain Olubudunde Oni, urged all stakeholders to be ambassadors of peace and agents of development in their communities. This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up ahead. Rising construction costs crush home ownership dreams in Birnin Kebbi. More news when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Heated debate as National Assembly extends capital budget implementation to end of 2025. An SDP chairman, Gabam, dismisses suspension misconduct claims, says party is under attack. Now moving on to more stories, operatives of the Kano State Police Command on Monday averted what could have been a suicide after rescuing a 19-year-old man who climbed a billboard at the popular Ado Bayero Bridge, threatening to jump unless he saw a well-known TikToker, Abdul Biki. The man, identified as Ibrahim Abubakar from Adamawa State, reportedly scaled the towering structure and vowed to take his life unless the social media influencer appeared. According to a statement issued on Tuesday by the Deputy Police Public Relations Officer DSP Hussein Abdullahi, a swift response team comprising police personnel and officials of the fire service was deployed to the scene following a distress call. Through the dialogue and negotiations, the TikToker was brought to the scene. Upon seeing him, the young man agreed to descend and was rescued unharmed. The State Commissioner of Police CP Ibrahim Bakuri, while warning the public against similar acts, stressed that attempted suicide is a criminal offense and urged citizens facing emotional difficulties to seek professional help rather than resorting to dangerous actions.
Sai mu tattauna da kai mu ji me damuwanka. Duk damuwanka da izinin Allah a yanzu mu maka solving problem ɗinka. Kana ji na ko? Ka yi hakuri ka sauko. Duk damuwanka sai ka gaya mana. Idan har akwai wanda kake son gani.
Now, the dream of home ownership is slipping further out of reach for many Nigerians, especially in Birnin Kebbi, the capital of Kebbi State, where the cost of building construction has skyrocketed beyond what the average citizen can afford. The report.
In a city once known for its affordability, the cost of building even a modest two-bedroom home has risen to around 7 million naira. Standard homes now range between 15 million naira and 40 million naira, while duplexes climb as high as 100 million naira. For multi-story buildings, the price can soar to 200 million or more. Farouk Udansabo attributes the dramatic increase to several factors, including the surge in prices of building materials and the weakening value of the naira. He said building costs have tripled in just a few years, making it nearly impossible for the average Nigerian to construct a home.
In the last 2 years, and that's the amount of 1 liter of petrol. Now a liter of petrol is about almost 1,000 naira per liter. So any material we are transporting, either from Lagos, from Port Harcourt, or from Abuja, that's virtually increasing the transport. Then the second problem is production problem.
Once busy construction sites now lie quiet, as many people abandon projects halfway due to rising costs. Even building material traders are feeling the pressure. Safi Ushehu Ambrusa, a trader, noted that transportation costs have spiked, driving up product prices. He also pointed to frequent damage during transit and the absence of government price control as major contributors to the inflation in building materials.
Okay, so the reasons are many, but one of them is that because of the rate exchange value. And then secondly, the company in Nigeria, they just used to increase the price without the notify of their customers. So I think it is one of the reasons. Of course, transport is a big challenge. Why? Because we have a very good forward transportation. So the issue of transport, for instance, many people that used to selling the goods, more especially the building materials, those bought it from Kano and Lagos. So from Kano to Kebbi, actually the journey is not too long. But due to the forward transportation, if the trailer carry your goods, it may take up to 3 days without they come to Kebbi and unload the goods in time.
As for the mortgage options, the outlook remains bleak. Ms. Bahu Ahmed, Managing Director of the Kebbi State Home Savings and Loan Limited, explained that the soaring cost of construction has made it nearly impossible for civil servants to build homes from their salaries alone. He emphasized that mortgage loans remain the most viable option, offering flexible repayment plans compared to building solely from personal funds.
For the civil servants, still they have windows offered by primary mortgage banks like Kebbi State Home Savings and Loans Limited, whereby we give a civil servant housing loan, a long term that will not affect their take-home income at the end of the day. So for the civil servant that need to own a house, they can approach any primary mortgage bank of their nearest to them and explain the housing options that they have there.
With construction costs continuously rising and financial solutions falling short, one question lingers in Birnin Kebbi and across Nigeria. Is home ownership still a realistic dream? For now, the answer seems uncertain, unless urgent measures are taken to improve affordability and access to finance. From Birnin Kebbi, Cynthia Yongo, Trust TV.
Now, the Public Relations Officer of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chinedu Ukadike, has attributed the recent increase in the prices of petroleum products to market deregulation. Ukadike said this in an interview on Tuesday in Abuja while reacting to the hike in pump prices reported in several parts of the country. He explained that key determinants included the price of crude oil, the exchange rate, and other operational costs. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and other marketers raised the pump price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, on Monday in Abuja and Lagos. The increase is reportedly linked to the rise in international crude oil prices. At NNPC retail outlets in Abuja, the pump price jumped by 50 naira from 895 naira to 945 naira per litre. The Oyo State Police Command has restated its commitment to maintain peace and security through community engagement, intelligence-driven operations, and strategic patrols. The State Police Commissioner Johnson Adenola disclosed this during a visit to Ilero and neighboring communities in the Oke Ogun area. The reports.
The long-standing farmer-herder conflict in Oyo State, Oke Ogun region continues to pose a serious threat to agricultural activities and the region's reputation as a major food-producing area. Tensions escalated recently following the alleged killing of a farmer and the kidnapping of 2 individuals in Ilero. In response to the rising tension, the Commissioner of Police convened a peace and security engagement in Igano. The meeting brought together traditional rulers, local government chairmen, residents, and Fulani community representatives from Ilero and neighboring areas in a bid to forge a path towards lasting peace and prevent further violence. While some residents of Ilero accuse herders of being behind the recent attacks, Fulani representatives are calling for cooperation from the host community to identify and isolate the criminal elements among them.
On the issue of our 2 guests being kidnapping, and one of our farmer that being murdered at his farmland. Now we want a quick intervention of our so-called the police body or whatever, our government on this very issue.
We are trying a lot. That's why we have our vigilantes patient that's always carrying activity in the operation with policemen so that we can bring back the peace and harmony in our area in generally.
The Commissioner of Police also held separate hours-long closed-door meetings with various interest groups to hear their concerns firsthand.
I told them that even the youth that I spoke to, they are indigenes of the town, they are residents of the town, they know those places more than the local police. So after speaking to them exhaustively today, they assured me of their cooperation. They promised me that they won't just embark on protest for the sake of it, but they assured me they work with the local police. And as I leave here, I'm still going to the palace of the King of Ilero. I need to talk more to the youth. I need to talk to the chiefs. I need to talk to the whole community.
Commissioner Adenola concluded his visit at the palace of the King of Ilero, where he appealed for calm and assured the monarch and residents that those responsible for the criminal acts will be identified and brought to justice.
Now, no fewer than 170 media practitioners have been trained on the need to boost public awareness of the Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project, LPRES, in Adamawa State. The participants, drawn from all 21 local government areas, comprise journalists, information officers, and social media influencers. The report.
The training, held in Yola, focused on enhancing participants' capacity in project documentation and documentary production, with the aim of improving the visibility of LPRES activities across the state. In his opening remarks, the State Commissioner for Livestock and Aquaculture Development, Tijani Makshak, represented by the Permanent Secretary Suleiman Amin, highlighted the positive impact of the LPRES initiative on the livelihoods of pastoralists across Adamawa.
LPRES has been doing a lot of work in Adamawa State, especially in the livestock value chain. And so many people are not aware. So people need to know what is LPRES and what are they doing, what is the importance of what they are doing to the value chain, and then what are they adding to the economy of Adamawa State.
The LPRES State Coordinator, Alpha Sekonde, explained that the core objective of the training is to raise public awareness and generate community support for the project's goals. He emphasized that many pastoralists living in remote areas are still unaware of the opportunities benefits the project offers.
No matter how good you are, if the people are not informed of what you are doing, then it's as good as you are not done anything. So today we are gathered here feeling so satisfied, so fulfilled, because we have the crew of journalists in the state and of course information officers across the 21 local governments of the state. And we're happy because today we believe the information that our people need to know, we're at the beginning of it now, moving forward.
The State Commissioner for Information, Elia James, commended the LPRES team for empowering local information managers who are key to spreading awareness and encouraging grassroots engagement. Gibson Soadigo, Trust TV News, Yola.
Constructed right-hand service carriageway of the inner northern awareness of livestock productivity and resilience support project, LPRES. We'll now take a very short break. When we return, the news continues. We sincerely apologize for that mix-up. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commissioned the newly constructed right-hand service carriageway of the Inner Northern Expressway, INEX, stretching from Ring Road 3, RR3 to the Outer Northern Expressway, also known as the Murtala Muhammad Expressway. Habibat Ajayi reports.
Represented by Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, President Tinubu reaffirmed his administration's commitment to replicating such infrastructure across the country, from roads and bridges to railways, ensuring that no region is left behind. He urged residents and road users to safeguard the infrastructure, obey traffic regulations, and treat public assets with respect, noting that these investments are meant for the benefit of both present and future generations.
It is with great pride and fulfillment that I stand before you today to commission the newly completed right-hand service carriageway of the Inner Northern Expressway INEX, linking Road 3 to the Outer Northern Expressway, also known as the Murtala Muhammad Way. This infrastructure is a critical piece of the Federal Territory's master plan, designed to ease traffic flow, enhance connectivity, and improve urban mobility for millions of commuters, residents, and businesses in the city.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, credited the completion of the project to President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, which prioritizes the continuation of impactful and economical beneficial projects.
The contractors could not get approval to cross look at the train passing them. The contractors could not get approval to cross the train, to cross the rail line, for them to complete this job. And I hope, Mr. President, you will go through this way and go to Zuba Road and go back to Abuja. Road infrastructure is the driver of any economic growth. Investors will come when there are roads. If there are no roads, no investor will come, because their duty is not to come and do roads for you. You have to provide the basic infrastructure.
Meanwhile, more projects are expected to be unveiled in the coming days. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday received Queen Mary Elizabeth of Denmark at State House Abuja. The European monarch was welcomed at the president's official residence within the presidential villa by the Nigerian leader and his First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu. Thereafter, the Danish Queen and Nigerian president held what was described as a high-level meeting behind closed doors. Details of the significant diplomatic engagement between Nigeria and the Kingdom of Denmark had not been disclosed at the time of filing this report. The two countries have enjoyed a close relations for decades, characterized by political, economic, and cultural exchanges. Denmark has a significant diplomatic presence in Nigeria, opening an embassy in Abuja and a consulate general in Lagos in 2016. These diplomatic presences facilitate cooperation in various sectors and ensure the welfare of citizens in each country.
The Queen is actually the patron of the United Nations Population Fund, which is a very important United Nations organ. And you will know, of course, from memory that Mr. President's foreign policy agenda stands on 4 pillars, one of which is demography. So there's a lot of work being done in terms of population, in terms of providing food security for that population, in terms of providing education for that population, and the fact that we're going to be 400 million by the year 2050. So this is a common denominator between what the Queen is emphasizing on and working on, and what the First Lady also is working on.
And now in business, the federal government says it recorded 6.9 trillion naira in revenue as at end of April this year. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, while speaking on Monday in Abuja, noted that the performance was about 40% increase year-on-year when compared with 5.2 trillion naira at the same period of last year. Speaking at the second quarter citizens and stakeholders engagement on the implementation of presidential priorities and ministerial deliverables, Edun added with the rising revenue, the percentage of debt servicing revenue was getting better. The minister said the recent upgrade by various rating agencies represented a vote of confidence in the management of the Nigerian economy. Now, away from Nigeria, U.S. President Donald Trump says Israel and Iran have both violated the ceasefire, but he is really unhappy with Israel. He called on Israel to stop dropping bombs and bring their pilots home. Trump says it was a great honor to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities and then stop the war launched by Israel on June 13. Iran fired a salvo of missiles at a U.S. military base in Qatar on Monday in retaliation for the attacks on its nuclear site a day earlier. Iran says more than 400 people, including 13 children, have been killed and at least 3,056 others wounded since Israel launched its attack on June 13. In Israel, at least 28 people have been killed in Iranian strikes.
I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either.
Uganda's ruling party on Tuesday said the country's long-running president Yoweri Museveni will seek re-election in polls due early next year. The 80-year-old had been widely expected to try and extend his almost 4-decade rule over the East African country. The opposition has faced a mounting crackdown ahead of the general election in January, with leading activists and politicians intimidated, abducted and detained. Museveni National Resistance Movement (NRM) party said in a statement on its website that the leader seeks to retain the position of the NRM chairman and party presidential flag bearer in the 2026 elections. Tango Odoi, NRM chairperson of the Electoral Commission, confirmed that Museveni will declare an interest for the president as the party flag bearer in the forthcoming general elections. Once held for his commitment to good governance, the former rebel leader has crushed any opposition and tweaked the constitution to allow himself to run again and again. And it is now time to join Kabir Yusuf for the sport news.
Morocco is positioning itself as strong candidate to stage the 2029 FIFA World Cup. The global spotlight is currently on the United States, which is hosting the inaugural edition of the Club World Cup in its expanded format. With attention already shifting towards the next circle, several nations, including Morocco, have reportedly signaled their interest in staging the 2029 tournament. According to British journalist Ben Jacobs, the United States, Spain, Brazil and Morocco have already expressed interest in hosting the 2029 edition. However, no decision is expected from FIFA in the immediate future. Spain has also made its ambitions clear. Local media report that Rafael Novian, president of Spanish Football Federation, recently met with FIFA president Infantino. He conveyed Spain's desire to host a major FIFA competition. This will be ahead of 2030 FIFA World Cup. The country will co-host the event alongside Portugal and Morocco. For its part, Morocco continues to bolster its international reputation as a dependable host for top-tier football events. The North African nation is already set to host the 2025 African Cup of Nations AFCON and host the 2024 Women's WAFCON. Additionally, the country is hosting the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup and Futsal AFCON. This string of high-profile tournaments reinforces Morocco's status as a rising power in football administration and event management. Still in football, Nigeria's men and women flag football teams received heroes' welcome on their return to the country after emerging the champions at the 2025 African Flag Football Championship held in Egypt. The teams arrived at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja at 2:30 p.m. and were greeted by officials from the National Sports Commission, media personnel, and jubilant supporters. Both teams claimed gold in their respective categories at the Continental Tournament, securing qualification for the upcoming Flag Football World Cup. Their victory marks a historical achievement as Nigeria became the first nation to win both titles at the championship. Team Nigeria's captain, Obinna Uzo, expressed pride in the team's achievement and appreciation for the host country. He was quoted as saying, "Egypt is a beautiful place and hosted a wonderful event. We went there, conquered, and made history by becoming the first to win the title." That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawal.
That was Kabir Lawal with the Sport News. And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and also watch us live on YouTube for more news programs and documentaries. My name is Idris Dayabature, thanking you for being with us. Good night.